The imperfect past tense in Italian is a simple past tense whose core function is to explain past actions as ongoing, habitual, continuous, and not completed. This tense shows the background of the past, and it does not express completion, known in Italian as the imperfetto. In my previous video, I showed and described the compound past, which has many elements that will not be needed in the Italian imperfetto. This tense is not compound and uses one verb form with no auxiliaries, past participles, or agreements, which means that it's formed by inflecting the main verb itself. Still, the imperfetto will have some irregularities, but in the beginning we can show the general pattern for regular verbs. To form verbs in this tense, we take infinitives, remove their endings, and add new endings. In this case, the category of Italian verbs matters, because each type of verb will have different endings, and we'll see every single one. Considering regular verbs, are verbs will have the following endings: avo, avi, ava, avamo, avate, avano. Let's take the verb parlare, to speak. To conjugate the verb in the imperfetto, take the infinitive, drop the ending, and add the new endings. Parlavo, parlavi, parlava, parlavamo, parlavate, parlavano. As always, we don't need to say the subject pronouns, and the meaning of the phrases is was or were speaking. Now, let's see a different type of verb, like credere, to believe, which ends in ere. Verbs that end in ere will have these endings: evo, evi, eva, evamo, evate, evano. Credevo, credevi, credeva, credevamo, credevate, credevano. The meaning of the phrases is was or were believing. Let's finish with the last type of verb, dormire, to sleep, which ends in ire. Verbs that end in ire will have these endings: ivo, ivi, iva, ivamo, ivate, ivano. Dormivo, dormivi, dormiva, dormivamo, dormivate, dormivano. The meaning of the phrases is was or were sleeping. In general, this is how regular verbs get conjugated in the Italian imperfetto, and when we compare the endings, we see that they all share the same letters, except for the first letter, which is responsible for the type of verb, ending in are, ere, or ire. As a result, the pattern of conjugation is very predictable, because the tense is about unfolding past situations. As a note, it's worth mentioning that expressing an imperfect action can also be done using stare, to be, plus a gerund. This is a structure that I showed when I explained the verb to be in Italian, but here, if we want to emphasize a continuous past action, the Italian imperfect is sufficient. In essence, the existence of the tense is enough to show ongoing past actions, but on the side, we can take imperfect conjugations of stare and apply them with gerunds, like saying io stavo parlando. I was speaking. English has the concept of saying a continuous past action using an auxiliary and a gerund, but with no official tense. In Italian, the same pattern is possible, but it's way more specific. When choosing how to express imperfect actions, it's better and easier to use the imperfetto because it conveys the same meaning with no auxiliaries, past participles, or agreements, so the tense is very basic in the language. However, a few systematic irregularities exist, such as verbs that come from older Latin stems. When covering these verbs, it's not necessary to say them because they mainly share similar patterns, like the verbs bere, dire, fare, porre, tradurre. The irregularity is that their stems change while still having the same endings. Principally, all of these verbs end in re, which is a good detail to know because such stem changes also affect verbs that end in orre and urre. Of course, we don't need to show all verbs that have such endings, so it's a simple note to keep in mind. Nonetheless, there is one verb that is completely irregular in the imperfetto, essere, to be. This verb doesn't follow any pattern, so its conjugations must be known individually. Ero, eri, era, eravamo, eravate, erano. Here, the meaning would be was, were, or used to be, because the tense is about continuity and background states. Despite having a few irregularities, the imperfetto is still stable, simple, and predictable. At last, we can finish the lesson with practical examples in all categories of the rules that we've seen. La casa era grande e silenziosa. Mio nonno era molto severo. Faceva freddo quella sera. Studiavamo tutta la mattina. Camminava lentamente. Da bambino andavo al mare ogni estate. Ogni sera guardavamo la televisione. Avevo 20 anni. Era tardi. Pensavo a te. Mi sentivo stanco. Volevo chiederti una cosa. Pensavo di passare più tardi. Overall, this is how the imperfect past tense fully works in Italian. It's a basic tense that explains ongoing and habitual past actions with no auxiliaries, participles, or agreements, so it's a very simple tense in Italian.